talk the most recent episode of Bachelor in Paradise. So, Bachelor in Paradise. Ooh, it was a short episode, but I feel like a lot happened. So let's start at the very beginning. It's a very nice place to start. So, Blake and Jess, they basically end off their conversation pretty much deciding that this is probably not going to go anywhere. And there's no point. And he leaves. She stays, probably because she's going to have to give her rose to somebody. But we're going to get to that in a minute. But he leaves. And everyone's a little surprised by this. Kylie actually goes after him when he's up at the car. And she's like, you can't leave. Like, how do I do this without you? You can't leave. And she says, like, I don't believe you want to do this. Like, I believe you want to fight for her. And he says, I can't fight for somebody who isn't all in. I know when it's not going to happen. And I have to listen to that. I can't allow it to go any further, basically, right? And it's true. I mean, I feel like the doubts were planted in his mind when they had that conversation. And Jess just kind of blame herself for that. And the thing is, it's like, it's hard for me to say, yeah, you should blame yourself for it. But at the same time, I'm thinking, you did have a good thing here with him. You could have done a hell of a lot worse with somebody. You know, you could have ended up with, you could have ended up with Tyler. Because I don't know how serious Tyler is. We'll get to him in a minute. And I feel like Blake is a guy that is looking for something serious. But I think that also scares her. I think she's still very young. I think that scares her. I don't know. I can't speak for her. But this is a little on you. But he's made his decision. So you could have tried to work through it, but he called it, basically. So Kylie kind of says to him, like, is there no one else on this beach? And he says, no. And he's gone. So there's that. And now moving on to a conversation that happens between Tyler and Mercedes. So she's very thrown off by the whole truth box situation. And she just really wants to get down to the bottom of things. And they have their conversation. And there's a lot of back and forth about him saying that he just didn't feel the spark. And he was looking for the spark. And he says this to her, and she says, so you haven't found the spark with me? And he says, no. She's like, well, then that's it then. There's no point of continuing. If you don't have the spark with me, then what's the point? And he says, well, I don't know, maybe spark is defined differently for both of us. And I'm thinking, I feel like spark is defined similarly with everybody. So what is your definition? That's what I would have asked him. I wish Mercedes would have asked him that question, just to fuck with him a little more. And we're like, so what's your definition then of a spark? Because I'm just trying to figure out if that's different than my definition. Anyway, she says, I don't think I am going to be giving you my rose tonight. So Tyler is now gone as well. And that is it. But Mercedes is still here. So there's not much else to really talk about with that drama. But what we do kind of see is that we have some of the guys kind of pining after these women that are now available. We see Tanner trying to get his teeth sunk into Jess, saying that he was really into her, and he just did it like obviously with Tyler, and you have Braden doing the same. Jess. I know there was a guy who, oh yes, for Mercedes, it was I don't remember his name, but race car driver guy who went on the date with a second time. with Rachel. He's kind of feeling Mercedes out. So we have kind of that happening. But as we're talking about race car driver guy, let's talk about his conversation with Rachel and his conversation after his conversation with Rachel. So they do talk, and it seems a little off, but he's still kind of, showing his interest in Rachel. But then he goes and talks to a bunch of people. I can't remember exactly everybody who was in that group, but I know like Aaron was there. And he says, listen, I don't know if I see a future with Rachel. I'm just not sure if anything's really there. Maybe I'm forcing something. And I'm thinking, that's fucking funny. I don't say that to make Rachel feel uncomfortable or wish any ill will on her or anything like that. But I think it's fucking hilarious that he's basically like, I don't know, man. And this is a guy she went on her first date with and sent him home. Like, am I the only one who finds that fucking funny? Because I find it funny. Anyway, so it's kind of that kind of happening. I'm not gonna really talk about anything else. All the other couples are doing fine. It's whatever. So let's go to the rose ceremony very quickly. Again, like I said, not a lot to talk about with this episode. It's much shorter because of Golden Bachelor, but they head to the rose ceremony, and everyone that you expect to give certain people the rose gets the rose, obviously. But we have our wild cards, obviously. We have Rachel, who is a wild card. We have Mercedes, that's a wild card, and we have Jess. And for our men, like I said, we're going to actually, technically 3 people are going to be going home. So we have Tyler and Blake already gone. We're going to be letting one other person go tonight. So the men that are there with no idea what's happening here is Tanner, race car driver guy, Taylor, and Brayden. So, well, they said one other person, but I know why. Well, let's get there. So, the first person who comes up is Mercedes, and she gives her rose to Tanner, who is obviously someone that Rachel was probably most likely going to give her rose to. And I think it was Tanner. Sorry, no. Let me rephrase. Wasn't Tanner. Jess gave her rose to Tanner. So yeah, she gives her rose to Tanner, so that's gone. The only other perspective for Rachel was race car driver guy. But Mercedes gives her rose to him first. And then now it's Rachel's turn, and Rachel says, I need a minute. So she walks away, camera crew's following after her, Jesse's following after her, and he says, like, what's going on? And she says, like, I don't know if I can stay. I think it's time for me to go. And he says, are you sure? And she says, I told myself before I came down these steps that if there's ever a time where it's time for me to go, it's going to be time for me to go. And she's like, I think tonight's the night. She's very emotional, obviously, but whatever. She comes back and she says, I'm leaving. And she's gone. Jesse then comes back and says, well, her rose has been forfeited, which means that there is no rose to give out, which means that actually 3 men are now going home, which is, I think 3 men. No, 2 men, sorry. Taylor and Brayden, they're both going home. We don't hear much from Taylor, no one cares. Brayden, says that he realizes that he's an idiot, that he probably should have continued on advancing his relationship with Rachel instead of going on this date with Becca. And he says that you live and you learn, and I will learn from this. I will do better. You know what? I believe him. What happened? Or I actually believe Brayden. Anyway, that is it for this episode. We are getting one more episode with Bachelor in Paradise. I'm assuming we're going to get some sort of tell-all as well. Depending on what happens, well, this is the finale, so we still record something for the finale. You just won't be getting it until the new year, but you can expect to get that for the finale. And if there is a tell-all, as well, you'll get that as well. And yeah, I guess we're just basically going to find out who's going to get married. I predict it's going to be Kelly and Avon, just based on the skin complexions of the two people, but that's what I think. But yeah, you will get that. We're back up and running on January 7th, so you will probably get something around that time, maybe in the weekend. So that is what's up with this. So that's it for this episode. Again, if you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to Facebook at Reality Tea Times 2, Instagram and Threads at Reality Tea Times 2 Podcast, X and Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod, email at realityteatimes2@hotmail.com, and our website at solo.to/Reality Tea Times 2. But that is it for now. Until the new year. Thanks, guys. Bye.